Alright, it's time for another video here. We have been working with a section in W3 School's website known as classes. Um, there's a few parts of this and stuff I don't think that so much pertain to classes, but we're gonna go through this anyways. The videos from here for a little bit, because this section is gonna kind of be long to I need to refresh myself on it, discover some of the stuff, and it'll kind of show anybody out there who's trying to learn how to write code, period, or C++ or whatever, how to do that sort of stuff. Um, and I may not be accurate on all of it, so keep in mind that with this is going to be depending on your operating system, Windows 10, Windows 11, Linux, Mac OS, etc. It's also going to be based on your hardware, um, whether or not you can operate on a 32-bit system, um, or 32-byte system, etc., and the requirements. So let's just dive into this, and hopefully I can kind of work this out through it. Adjust the screen here. This is where we kind of left off right here. I do have VS Code up here as well, but for this section we won't really be needing this. This is kind of going, this section I'm going to talk about is going to kind of cover how to get this, but not as far as the code is concerned. So let's read through this first, and then there's some other things that I've got to kind of go through and stuff. Like I said, it's more of a refresher course for me if W3 Schools goes through this the way I think they're going to go through this, but if they don't, then I'll cover some extras on this. My other sources have information on this too, probably a little bit better than this, but we're going to be using a lot of sources for this. So C++ files. Um, the fstream library allows us to work with files. Um, I'm not sure how accurate that is because I've been able to use multiple files with C++ without having to use fstream, so it may just depend on uh, when this website or this section of this website was created and the updates from C++ and etc. To use the fstream library, include the standard iostream and the fstream library header. Okay, so this right here, which we've seen before, with VS Code up here, I'm going to go ahead and clear out all this code here. Um, delete all that. Delete all that. We don't need any of that. And then delete all of this. Okay, so this is known as a library right here, iostreams. In order to get that library included, you have to actually use the keyword include. There are a lot of libraries out there. Libraries you can think of like books. People build libraries, and you can build your own library yourself and stuff. I have not tried to build my own library yet because I just don't have enough knowledge yet on how to do such a thing. But yes, this is what it's referring to. So the F streams that it's talking about would be something like this. Oops. Include F stream like that. For multiple files, I've never actually had to use that, but I think it's going to depend on how you have the file set up too. Because like I said, this is going to, you can go so many different ways with this. So I typed that in there right there. I'm not going to save that, but I'm going to downsize this. So that's what it has right here for the example. There are 3 classes included in the fstream library, which are used to create, write, and read files. The OF stream, create and write files. The if stream reads from files, and the F stream, a combination of uh, OF stream and IF stream, read and write files. So, like I said, I don't know how old this data is from this website right here. I'm pretty sure that the updates in C++ and the libraries that include it in the compiler, because you got three different things. You got C++ is one program, you got the compiler is another program, and then you got these libraries right here, which C++ in the compiler reads those libraries to decipher what you're writing and basically give the computer its instructions. Like I said, I may not be 100% accurate on this, and if I'm not, you want to correct something in the comments, go right on ahead. If you have another question or whatnot, go right ahead and add it. If you have another comment, go ahead and add it as well. So, create and write to a file. To create a file, use either the OFStream or FStream class and specify the name of the file. To write to the file, use the insertion operator. Okay, so I kind of get where this is going, and I remember this now. Yes, I believe you do need the FStream library to do this. And then what you're basically doing is you're telling your program, or your program is actually literally creating its own file. You're not creating it yourself. The program would be creating the file, I believe. So we're going to go ahead and do this right here, example. Let me go ahead and shrink this down here. That. We've got this included. We're not going to use the namespace standard right there because I just typed it in myself. But in the main here, we got a comment. So we will be using some of the examples here because it's not what I thought it was going to be. Open a text file. And then OF stream. Sorry, I believe it's going to be standard OF stream. Yeah. My file. And then the file name dot text. So end in that statement there, then we're going to go down here a little bit and we're going to write some more comments. So write to the file, my file, files can be tricky, and that is true. They can be tricky because you got to really keep track of it yourself. What files you're creating, what files you have. And if you do it properly, it can make your code very unique and much easier to read. We got another comment here. Close the file. Oops. My file dot close. All right. So yeah, this is not getting into what I thought it was going to be. I'm going to go ahead and keep the return down here, 0. So in this case, yes, I do remember doing this, and like I said, it's more why I said this was more of a refresher thing for me. But there's another part to this and stuff that kind of goes along with this. So first off, you got to include the library right here for this. So yes, I was wrong about that. You have to include the library to do this. Basically, what you're doing is you're creating a program that's going to create a file for you. Now, how would that be useful to you? It wouldn't be. But if you need to write a program and you need another file created and stored into whatever to be downloaded for other people to use, then yes, you need to be able to, you can't really go through and explain to them, hey, you need to create this file, put this in this file, sort of thing. With the whole my file creation thing right here, we're just putting in text, but you can put code in there instead. And you can see just from doing this alone how your code can end up being extremely long, because if you're writing your code with classes, structures, functions, and then all of a sudden you're having another file created and you're having it do the same thing, it can get piled up really fast. So we're creating a file with this right here, standard of file, create a file. File name is the variable for this file, so it's going to be stored in the RAM. um, until the file is created, and then once it's closed, the file will be saved. I think, but I'm not sure. Like I said, it's more of a refresher. But the file name is going to be this right here, file name.txt. Why txt? Well, when we write C++ files, we have to have the CPP at the end of them. If you write in HTML files, you have to have HTML at the end of it. If you write in CSS, CSS at the end of it. Python, I think it's PY, and so forth and so on. In this case, this file is going to just contain text, this text right here. So in order for it to contain that text, it has to be a text file, which is why it's got .txt. So this first line right here is creating a file. And as we've known before, when you're creating something or declaring something, you have a variable name, which is a storage location. So this file is going to have this storage location in the RAM. How much data this is going to use up, I do not know. I've never actually checked the size of this right here. And as you can recall in the previous videos, we've got keywords that checks the size of things. I have no idea on how big this is going to be. But I think that all is going to depend on what you're going to put into this code right here at the same time. So this file right here, if you have nothing in it, it might be 0, which means it's going to take up 0 space in the RAM. But if you are building a file inside of a file, then it can end up being uh, 5 megabytes, 25 megabytes, or just a few bytes, just depending on how big it is. So in this case right here, we're going to use the variable name. We've created it right here. This is the value for it. So for this file right here, we're going to add this text. So this text is going to be in there. At the end, we're going to close that file back out. So it's no longer going to be stored in RAM. This is another one of those cases and stuff where if you don't close the file out, the file is going to be locked into the RAM. Just like with the keywords new and delete. So if you don't close it out, it's going to be locked into RAM. It's going to be stuck running as a file or whatnot, showing as a file or whatnot until you actually close it out. So we got this created right here. Let's go ahead and save it real quick. So this is what this is, closing the file out. This is creating the file right here. And this is adding information into that file. Save it, run it. Nothing gets printed down here. There won't be anything printed down here. The reason that is, I'm not even sure if it shows up right here. Yes, it does. It shows up right there. So there's the file right there that it just created. If we open this file right there, and downsize this, in fact, I'm going to close this out because we ran it already. There's the file right there, and there's the text right there for it. This right now is not open in my RAM. It's closed because of the keywords that we used. But here's another thing. If you want to find this file outside of VS Code, and for different operating systems, this is going to work differently. Simply go into Documents. I think. No, because it saved it into this file right here. So it saved it into my C++ file. So open this back up. I need to go all the way down to my main drive there, C++ file or folder. Open that up, C++ learning, and I believe, yes, that's the file right there. I'm not sure how well you can see it, but yes, that's the file location right there. So yes, it created this file. It's in my file explorer right there. If I want to remove it, all I gotta do is click that, delete, whatnot, so forth. Just the same way you would delete any other file. Close that out. Now this file no longer exists. Even though it's showing in here, it's marked out because the file no longer exists. So once I close this out, it's completely gone. Now if I run this program again, it's going to recreate that file again. If I run this program several times, then I'm going to create the same exact file several times in this folder, in this particular folder right here. Again, I can move that file anywhere. So let's keep moving through this, and I got some more to explain after this. Why do we close the file? It is considered good practice and can clean up unnecessary memory space. Exactly. Just the same way as the keyword new and delete. If you left it open, if you didn't have this right here and there, then it would actually still be in the RAM. and you would have to actually find the file itself in your RAM and close it out or delete it, or turn off your PC, restart it and stuff to get it cleared out of there. To read a file, which is what we just did. So to read a file, use either fstream or ifstream or fstream class in the name of the file. Note that we can also use a while loop together with the getLine function, which we've not really discussed getLine too much. We've discussed the while loop, which belongs to the ifstream class to read the file line by line and print the content of the file. So this right here is it? Okay, so it looks like right here, this is another example. Create a text string which is used to, okay, so let's see here. I'm going to write this. Do we actually create another file? Ifstream. Okay, so in order for this to work right here, this example code, I'm going to have to run this again so it recreates the file again. So I'm going to run it again. The file's recreated. Easy enough to delete. Now, I'm going to end up clearing out. Actually, I'm betting. I'm looking at this right now. So ifstream read file. Let's see here. I'm to use either ifstream or fstream. Okay, so it's going to read this file right here. So we got the file created. So we're going to rewrite this text right here. String text, my text. We'll create my text. All right, so let me go ahead and write this in here. I don't think that I need to add another library here for this. To read a file, use either ifstream or fstream class and the name of the file. Okay, so I don't think I need to add another library here, but let's go ahead and clear this out right here because we created the file already. Let's go ahead and write this example in here. Create a text string which is used to output the text file. So standard string my text declared. Now another comment, read from the text file ifstream standard. I always forget that because there's stream my read file, and then we're going to give the name to read the name of the file that we want it to read. And then another comment here, use a while loop to use a while loop together with the getLine function to read the file line by line while getLine my read file my text and then comment output the text from the file. Standard output my text. And then again, we need to close the file because we've opened it and now we need to close it. You really don't want to leave files or anything you create and open. You want to close them all the time. So I'm glad it's at least showing that in this. My read file dot close. And then save it. So we got the file created right here. Again, we recreated the file by running the program again that we just had. In this case right here, we are creating a string, just a variable, no value to it yet. And then we are setting up a variable to read the information in this particular file right here. Like I said, I'm not 100% familiar with this, so yes, I'm kind of discovering, refamiliarizing myself, relearning this stuff myself, because I do remember learning this once. Um, so yes, I'm learning this a second time. And I can see that, I mean, I imagine IOStreams does this every time you use it as a library, to where it's going to create a file for whatever you're doing, read it, run it, whatever, but it may not even be your program it's doing. It may be doing it all on its own. It may have some, in fact, I know it has several files and stuff. It may open them up, read them, sort of thing, back and forth, just like you're doing right here. So read from the text file, which is what this is doing right here. But you have to create a spot right there for it to get to the file and then read it. And then we got a loop right here. Use the while loop together with the get line function to read the file line by line. So the while loop, while this is true, which is the conditional statements, it's going to read this off. So while this is open, it's going to read this off until it's done reading off the text right there, I believe. I believe that's how it works, but I'm not 100% positive on this. But yes, get line, whatever text is in this, which when we created this file right here, I'm going to go and open it up here. This is the line we have right here for this file. So it's going to get the text, going to read the file in there right there, get the text, which is going to be whatever string it is. So if it's numbers in there and not strings, you're going to have to create something else for the numbers. We don't have a whole lot of examples for this, a whole lot of information on this, but I do know there is another section in one of my other sources, which I'm going to share that with you here in a minute too. So, and then we're going to close the file once it's done. So we got this saved. We're going to run this program right here, and it's simply opening up the file, reading the information in the file, printing out the terminal, and then closing the file back up. If there was more lines in it and stuff, it'd read all of them. If there was numbers in it, then you would have to use my numbers and probably integer my integer sort of thing if there was numbers in there. So I'm going to label this one when I put it in as on YouTube. Label it. It's still going to be under classes. It's going to be labeled as file. So I'm already labeling each video I put in there as part whatever, but we're going to have a sub part to this. So it's going to be my journey part whatever, classes, file part 1. So I'm not going to put this into its own category. It's still going to be in this right here, but this may contain multiple parts to it because I'm going to recap a lot of this stuff because this is very general, in my opinion. I've got a lot to learn about doing this right here and what can be done with this, but we got this saved right now, so we're going to stop the video right there. And from here, I'm going to get into many other different things continued off of this right here part. So that'll be it for this video. And when I come back, I'll leave this right here in W3 Schools and get into, well, I'll just explain it in the other videos. So if you want to see it and stuff, you'll have to watch the other videos. I'll hopefully have it labeled properly. Again, if I said something wrong that's not accurate to what I'm currently doing right here, it happens. You see me mistype things all the time. You're welcome to put a comment in there to correct what I've said. If you had any questions, you're welcome to ask. If you just have simple comments, fine to put them in there. I'm going to try to keep these videos short, not too extremely long, and a different section for each one. Um, if you like the videos, click the like button, so forth, so on. And I'll get you in the next video, and we'll continue with this right here for files, because this is kind of a bigger area to cover, especially if you're working with a different operating system what I have. So I'll see you next time.